of Punta Gorda Charter Review Committee, providing findings which include the proposed charter amendments, providing for the calling of a referendum election, providing for the conduct of a referendum election, providing the form of ballot, providing for the form of notice of referendum election, providing for the posting of ordinance at each polling place, providing for filing with the supervisor of elections, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. We have the chairman, vice chairman of the Charter Review Committee here who would like to just go over this and explain how this process is going to work.
Good morning. Bill Albers representing the Charter Review Committee. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have, but also to present to you our educational program to hopefully get people to understand what the changes are. As you're aware, when you read through these, the legal jargon gives you a headache. So we've tried to create a very simplistic explanation, which is up on the board, and I think you had it on your cover page of your title. But I would like to just spend a minute and go through that with you, and for the folks that are sitting here too. It'll only take a minute, but every 6 years the city charter is reviewed and recommended changes are put forth to the citizens to vote on for their consideration. For this cycle, we have determined there were 9 changes, 8 changes and 1 new section, total of 9. 5 of those proposals are ballot questions number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9. They actually have changes in them. The other 4 are basically, in your terms, Scribner changes. They're changes in policy to conform to state and federal laws and things that really aren't changes, they're just kind of adherence. So a description of the 5 that are in question, the first ballot question is, again, simple explanation. Currently, the city council members can set their own salaries by enacting a city ordinance. The committee recommends that this be changed and the city council members' salaries be a percentage of the county commissioners' salaries, which are regulated by the state legislature. The recommendation is 20% of the commissioner's salary for council members and 22.5% for the mayor. Currently, the city council member's salary is $8,050 annually, while the county commissioner's salary is $66,010 annually. I'll take questions when I'm done, if that works for you. The second one has to do with the amount of time the city gets to appoint someone. So the existing city charter states that the city council has 10 days to fulfill a vacancy on the city council should one occur outside the normal term of office. Someone passes away or has to resign, for instance. The committee believes that time frame is inadequate and recommends the change be to 25 days. Having gone through this a couple of times, 10 days is really tight, especially if someone passes away. There's all kinds of things that go on. If you fail to do it in 10 days, you lose the opportunity. It goes to the governor for appointment, and that could take months. So 25 days just seems to be a much better direction to go in. The third change, the existing charter mandates that the city council meet no less than 24 times a year, twice a month. The committee recommends that the mandate be changed to require the city council to meet no less than 22 times a year, or at least once a month. This will allow flexibility during the summer months and permit an extended summer break. Ballot question number 4 changes the method of written notice service from service personally to served by other means available. In other words, before someone would have to be notified, one of you or something would have to be noticed in person. Now we think that there are much better.
I think one thing you left off there is that's a written, it's the notice of a special meeting. There's a special meeting to be held.
You're right, thank you.
Changes the method of service for a special meeting notice from a personal service to include other means such as telephone or email.
You're right, thank you. And number 9 is the only addition, and this addition of the new section of the city charter calls for employees and elected officials to comply with the City of Punta Gorda's Code of Conduct and the State of Florida Code of Ethics. And then below that, there will be a link to the city's website where actual language is written. So our plan is that I've contacted the 4 major homeowners groups and have asked for their assistance to help us distribute this very message, as simple as it is, just to do that for us. And their various newsletters and email blasts or whatever they have We're going to ask each of you to help us with your various lists of contacts to do the same thing. I've spoken to, and I'm hopeful the Sun Herald will allow us to put this very thing in as an editorial. And we'll also utilize, obviously, social media and the city's website. Our plan is to blitz this twice. Once as just a few days before the absentee or mail ballots come out, which would be October the 8th, I believe. So probably around the 5th or so, or whatever fits into the homeowners association's newsletters. And then again, a couple of days before the actual election day. And hopefully we'll be able to cover most of the people. And the intent is just so that they read this and can make a decision and not just bypass it because it's too confusing. So that's the Charter Committee report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So where is the code of conduct going to be posted? On our website?
All the actual changes, the actual David language changes will be on the website, so you can look through them and see exactly what changes in the code.
The question was with respect to the city's code of conduct. I think we adopted it by resolution, but
That's it, yeah.
It's restated on the wall behind me.
Okay, and that's for all city employees and elected officials?
As correct.
Okay.
I have a question. What would happen if the people didn't choose to vote for the correction of the Scrivener's errors?
Well, with respect to those that are truly Scrivener's errors,
Right.
the city council can amend the charter by
Okay.
ordinance.
Okay.
And I don't, well, I don't know that it's technically accurate to describe the changes here as
Okay.
Scrivener's errors, but they're not really that substantive.
Okay. Just curious.
Nancy?
What is the effective date of these, if on any of these that might be approved?
You know what, I don't know the answer to that. David, can you help me with that? Effective date?
I believe that it would be effective upon approval by the citizens, yeah.
I would think so too, but that question never came up. Interesting. Well,
If there's an alternative answer,
Yeah,
I will provide it.
I would
Okay,
assume that was correct
okay.
too.
You mentioned that the code of conduct is actually on the wall. It would be nice if that was up on the city's website. So-
Yeah, because I don't know how that really applies to the employees, but, I mean, I guess some of it does. I guess I would want to see what we officially adopted in that ordinance, the code of conduct ordinance.
Yeah, I believe it's by resolution, and
Or
I
is
and I
it
think,
resolution?
you know, the part about the employees is more addressed by the state of Florida Code of Ethics. So, it's sort of one ballot question that covers the whole field of conduct by employees and elected officials.
Is that a new change that they had, like where you have to do the 4 hours worth of training and things like that? Is it something new?
No, it's not new. It's just something that the Charter Review Board Committee wanted to have in the charter, so that, for example, if there was an elected official who violated the state of Florida Code of Ethics, then that would be a charter violation, which could be addressed in another ballot question as it relates to discipline of elected officials.
Okay, that makes sense, okay. Any other questions?
I'd just like to thank you and
Yes,
your
thank
committee
you
for
for
all
your
of the
service.
hours and the work that you put into it. Thank you very
Very
much.
welcome.
I think
It
you've done a
it
wonderful
went
job.
pretty smoothly, all things considered.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a public hearing. If you would like to speak on this public hearing, please come to the podium. You have 3 minutes. If you would like to speak on the charter review ballot questions, now would be the time. Last call.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second?
We have a motion, a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Move approval GA 0617.
Second,
06,
that was one.
Oh,
six.
16, sorry.
1-6.
as noted. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Next, we have ZA 08-16.
Yes, and this is also the first reading of an ordinance that I'll read by title only. An ordinance of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, amending Punta Gorda Code, Chapter 26, Land Development Regulations, Article 3, Regulating Districts, Section 3.8, Neighborhood Commercial District, Section 3.9, City Center District, Section 3.10, Highway Commercial District, Section 3.11, Special Purpose District, by amending subsection C, uses permitted with conditions, adding mobile food dispensing vehicles as a use permitted with conditions on developed property, and amending subsections F, special exceptions, removing the special exception approval requirement for mobile food dispensing vehicles in any zoning district, amending Article 4, uses permitted with conditions, subsection 4.40, mobile food dispensing vehicles, subsection A, to remove reference to watercraft from the definition, amending subsections B1, F1, and F11 to remove special exception requirements for mobile food dispensing vehicles, providing for conflict and severability, and providing an effective date.
Good morning. For the record, Terry Tubbs, Urban Design. This ordinance was the result of a meeting at the Downtown Merchants and the mobile vending groups that they did want to open up mobile vending on developed properties within the city center zoning district, which is the map that is up there. And also to remove the requirement for the special exception, which was a public hearing process, and the fee that was associated with that of $750. And this ordinance, basically, it does open up the all of the commercial zoning districts. This is a portion of the highway commercial zoning district in gray. The remainder of the highway commercial zoning district. Oops, let me go down a little bit. This is the medical overlay district, which is actually part of the city or the neighborhood center district. Special purpose district. This is a portion of the neighborhood commercial zoning district that goes from the area around the hospital and then around Fisherman's Village. And then additional small areas of neighborhood center where the mobile vending, based on this ordinance, could be permitted by application with staff approval. We would still need to set the fee for the application. The Planning Commission did have a lively discussion regarding the other provisions within the mobile vending ordinance. They did ask that it be brought back for further discussion at their next meeting, which we will do. They did mention other municipality ordinances as a comparison, so we will put that together for further discussion with Planning Commission. But this ordinance, as it stands, would open the ability for mobile food vending in all of the commercial districts on developed property.
Questions before we open the public hearing? I mean, I think this is what we asked for.
It
We
is.
talked about this.
Yep.
And they're gonna be monitored through the local business tax receipt. So I would like to know, the fee for that, what their fee would be for the LBT for a mobile vending. $63, so they would have that fee annually. I would like to see, like, what else they might have to do, before we talk about the application fee.
I don't know what their state
State
fees
fees.
are as far as actual licensing requirements through the state. Typically with this type of an application, for example, our temporary conditional use application for a commercial use, where somebody wanted to do something for a period that could be made compatible in the district, that could be done by temporary conditional use, the application fee for that is $250. That gives it staff review. Sometimes we do have to take those, and have them reviewed by other departments to make sure that there aren't any technical concerns with what the request is. And essentially, with mobile food vending, one of the requirements is the site plan, and the purpose of the site plan is public safety. Make sure that we leave wide enough areas for emergency vehicle access and that sort of thing. So it would be reviewing all of the documents, ensuring that everything was in order, and
And that would be a one-time fee?
One-time fee. And if in instances where perhaps a mobile food vending company had 2 or 3 locations or additional vehicles, that maybe for a small additional fee for each, that they could tack on to that primary application. So it wouldn't be, you know, if they had 6 locations where they'd have to put out that $250 6 times, it would be maybe a $25 fee for each additional one, but that would be just the one-time fee.
And amendments would be, like if they had to amend, if, say, the business closed and then they had to find a different place to go, could we?
Have to look at something that would be reasonable for that, because once we have all of their documentation, it's more looking at site plan to make sure that all of that meets the requirements.
I mean, as long as it's reasonable, I'm okay. Because the life safety and the public safety is obviously a concern, because a lot of places downtown, they don't even have parking. So, you know, to go in a very small parking lot is gonna be an issue, I would think, in some instances. Okay, so any other questions, Tom?
Just a comment. I'd like to compliment the Planning Commission for all of the due diligence they did in going through this, and Terry, you as well. You just did a wonderful job in this and participating. Thank you.
How many times has this been? This is a public hearing. If you would like to speak on ZA 08-16, now would be the time. Come to the podium, state your name. You have 3 minutes. After you state your name, the timer will begin.
My name is Don Smith, and recently my wife and I had the pleasure of bringing a Kona Ice franchise to Punta Gorda, and I'd like to lend my support to these amendments. I think they're important in restoring some of the rights, economic liberty that have been taken away from food trucks by the 2014 ordinances. But having said that, I think there's more to be done. There are a number of spots in the ordinances that still put undue restrictions on us. For example, notarized permission from a property owner. We're the only business that is required to go through those steps. The word notarized is only used 9 times in the 333 pages of Chapter 26. 3 of those are against food trucks. The other 3 are general, and typically they deal with authorized agents as well as the owners. We have been invited by businesses to come to them and serve their employees. And we do that. We're primarily event-driven, but I think it's a little bit restrictive to expect us to track down owners, especially outside owners, and get notarized permission. I would think verbal request would be sufficient, especially since owners are protected by anti-trespassing ordinances under the book. So I'd like to see that eliminated, as well as the site plan is too general. For example, we spend 3 hours a week at Palm Automotive at their invitation at 16 different locations. About 10 minutes maximum at a location. I may have maybe anywhere from 2 to 0 to 6 customers. So I think it'd be particularly burdensome to try to do a site plan. The other thing would be like playing music. It's part of our franchise agreement. We'll play our little steel drum music as part of our brand. You see, if you go downtown, the brick and mortar restaurants, they have music that can not only be heard outside their establishment, the bands are outside the establishment. So we would like to be able to play our music. It's part of the motif, the tropical motif, and it, I would like to work with the urban design group and the planning commission. I've been very encouraged by the reception I've received there, and I would like to see this continue. So I support this, but I think there's more that needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak on ZA 08-16? Please come to make your way to the podium. Last call.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. I mean, I think now that we've already heard that they're gonna have more input on this, what's the benefit of
doing?
passing it today?
Well, and I think that's a valid question, and I think maybe what we should do is, instead of closing the public hearing, continue the public hearing until after you've received the input from the
So I
planning
have to
commission.
open it again? We
So
just
I'll
closed
withdraw
it.
my motion.
Withdraw my second.
Okay, so we've withdrawn the closing of the public hearing. Terry?
As far as whether to, pass the ordinance today, this is specifically just to remove the requirement for the special exception. So it is a step forward. The other changes that were discussed and contemplated would need a whole new ordinance. The title would be entirely different for the types of changes that the Planning Commission wanted to consider. So that would be a whole separate ordinance, and it would either require this one to be rewritten and re-advertised, or, just let this one go through and then bring back the second one. Because once we discuss it with the Planning Commission, I would like the opportunity to bring their discussion back to the City Council to go over what their comments are and the changes that they would recommend before we actually drafted that into an ordinance.
Can we just,
Move to close the public hearing.
can we?
Well, it depends on,
No,
if you.
can we, I think we should have one ordinance. I mean, to have two ordinances is gonna be more cumbersome for people to try to navigate, in my mind.
It's all one provision in our code.
Okay, so it doesn't matter.
So the question that's before you at the moment is whether you want to move forward with the portion of the amendment of the code that just deals with where these can operate, or if you want to consider all of these proposed changes together in one large ordinance that would amend the present code. So if you wanted to just deal with what we were tasked with doing initially, and that was to make more areas available for these, then you can go ahead and close today's public hearing, move forward with this ordinance, and then come back at a different time when you have more input on other changes to the ordinance in general.
Okay.
Right, move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to reclose public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously.
I'll move approval of ZA-08-16.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve ZA 08-16. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. So we will continue the discussion on food trucks and the language.
But
And I
not-
did like the gentleman's suggestion. I mean,
Yeah, I
that
think so, and I
makes
think
sense to me.
I
I'm
like-
just saying.
I like actually moving forward with this so that we can get on with business in the city
Right.
and then take our time to really reevaluate.
We still have a second reading, but we can,
Yes.
we'll be in concert with, probably, would all be amended by September, hopefully. And have, because at this point,
You'll see.
yeah,
See how dogs go.
okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, we still need to be covered by, the notarization might be a little onerous, but we still need to know that the property owner's okay with,
I mean, he is right. I mean, you do have the right to trespass someone. If someone just shows up and starts selling ices in my I'm gonna say, hey, you can't do that, and call the police and trespass them if they won't leave. So it really does make sense.
Tom?
The site plan that was referenced earlier is a function of life safety, and I think that they have to continue their involvement in that.
I agree.
For property owners' consent, just from staff's perspective, we would like something in writing, perhaps even just on company letterhead. We would hate to issue a permit to somebody who came to us and said, well, they said I could be on their site, and we issue a permit, and then the property owner or business owner says, are you nuts?
Yeah, we need something.
Just have that in writing.
Do they have to pay for the permit?
It would be the one-time application fee as far as the application from the city.
Okay. I mean, I guess I'm just saying, if I had a mobile truck and I paid the fees and I didn't ask the owner and then I got trespassed, I mean, they have to leave immediately, so it's kind of a,
Yeah, I just don't want city approval on there if
Right.
there was.
I just wanted to clarify the life safety issue that I meant had to do with the bringing fire safety emergency vehicles onto the site, and they need to be reviewed by the appropriate personnel.
And in that instance, that we heard about, couldn't multiple site plans, like you say, be submitted? I mean, I don't think they should be penalized because they're gonna be roving around if they're invited by the business owner.
Well, if they're, you know, we don't have that many businesses. If they're there and there's a site plan for that place, that's where you go.
Yeah, it could be.
That could work.
And for the site plans, we can use aerials and work with the applicants. It's not that, like, we need to get a survey of the property or
Right.
anything
Right.
like that. Staff also has in the past and will continue to, if we have questions about a site, we go out there and actually do the measurements to see whether it would reasonably fit in the area.
To be continued.
Right. I mean, even sending you an email, it's okay for them to be on my property. At least you have it from them.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
have
but there's
something in-
more, there's more to it than just that. I mean, and there's a whole list of things that the property owner needs to be aware of and to approve as part of the process. For example, the property owner has to allow for the employees of the trucks to come in and use the restrooms. The property owner has to ensure that the parking area that's being occupied is not allocated to a different tenant. You know, so that there's all these things, that it's more than just showing up on a piece of property and that's okay. Because ultimately, the property owner may be liable for any violation of our codes that occurs on that property. So, you know, to get a verbal okay from somebody who says they're representing the property owner, or even an email, probably isn't appropriate in this
yeah.
circumstance.
Yeah, I would agree on that. What is the note, having it notarized, is that?
Well,
mean
among other things, it
Proves that that's that
proves that that
person?
was the person, correct. That somebody didn't just sign on behalf. And also, oftentimes, you know, hopefully when you're required to sign something that's notarized, you actually read what it is that you're signing. And so,
Okay,
True. Okay.
okay, moving on, ZA 09-16.
okay, this is the first reading of an ordinance that I'll read by title only. An ordinance of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, amending Punta Gorda Code, Chapter 26, Land Development Regulations, Article 3, Regulating Districts, Section 3.13, Special Residential Overlay District, subsection, I always get, is that I or L?
L.
Thank you.
It would be L.
Storage of vehicles and watercraft, to clarify provisions of the storage of watercraft inside a garage or carport, providing for conflict and severability, and providing an effective date.
Good morning. For the record, Terry Tubbs, Urban Design. This ordinance amendment was a result of a discussion about, the discussion itself was about small watercraft. It went back and forth between non-motorized or motorized. After it was brought to my attention yesterday, because the comments that I got from Planning Commission somewhat differed from the comments that I got from the City Council, I learned from the Planning Commission that the trend now is to put small motors on kayaks. So using the term non-motorized might not really work. And in looking at the way this paragraph of the ordinance is written, if we add the word non-motorized, then you couldn't put a motorized trailer in your carport or garage. So if we want to be specific as to small watercraft and full-size watercraft, then I think the paragraph would need to be rewritten and to break it out into two parts, one for the full-size watercraft and one for smaller watercraft.
Because at this point, you have non-motorized in there?
No, at this point, it does
We do
not
not.
say. It basically allows a watercraft to be stored in any manner inside of a garage or carport.
If it's totally inside.
What would be the major downfall of that?
I hope none.
Okay. I mean, what
It
are
was a
your,
big, to me, it was a big deviation from our discussion.
I don't have a problem with it, though, as long as it's inside the garage or carport.
I don't know that there are a lot of locations that we're gonna be facing this issue in any event.
I mean, we saw two, I think, when we had the photos before.
Yeah. I'm okay
Okay.
with it.
It's a public hearing, so do we have questions, or you want to open the public hearing now? Okay, this is a public hearing. If you'd like to speak on ZA 09-16, please come to the podium, state your name. 3 minutes. ZA 09-16. Last call.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion, a second to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. So
Move approval of ZA-09-16.
Second.
we have a motion, a second to approve ZA 09-16. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. And next, we have a resolution for the CDBG action plan.
Yes, this is a resolution which I'll read by title only. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, approving the 2016 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan for the City of Punta Gorda and authorizing the city manager to sign and submit all documents required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, and provide an effective date.
Good morning. For the record, Terry Tubbs, Urban Design. Within your packet, you will find the list of proposed projects that staff has come up with for the use of the CDBG funds. If council wants to recommend any changes to that list. Otherwise, it is an annual.
Any changes?
No?
Nope. Okay, this is a public hearing. If you would like to speak on this resolution, please come to the podium. State your name. You have 3 minutes. If you would like to speak, come to the podium.
Good morning, Martha Beretta. May we just see the listing of the projects? Thank you.
If I can get them on.
It's page 116.
116 on past it.
Yep.
Thank you, Tom.
Or it's just a few beyond 116.
This is on page 13. I thought it was after this.
So, yeah. It's after this. Here they are.
Alrighty.
So these are the projects in the action plan. This, the public hearing is still open. If you would like to comment.
There's another page, Terry.
Yes.
Right, the next page. There you go.
If you would like to comment on this item, please come to the podium. Last call.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion, a second to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. We need a motion on the resolution.
Discussion? If I could ask
Yes?
How was the funding determined for these types of projects? I guess what I want to know, is there a way to get additional funding? How could we approach
They're
additional
taking
funding
away rather
for
than
some of
adding.
these?
For the record, Mitchell
Is it
Austin, Urban Design.
population-based, area-based, or how it?
The city is under the HUD guidelines deemed an entitlement city. So our entitlement is set by the population and other factors. So that dollar amount is what we are stuck
Is
with.
it the
HUD tells us, the federal government tells us every year what we're going to be
So is it
allocated.
the population of the entire city or a specific class, a specific area?
It's based on the population total and then the demographics, the low to moderate income population and other special needs.
Okay, so if we had a larger population, we would get additional funding, and if we met other criteria, also we would get additional funding.
Potentially, but the allocation, the community development block grant program has been shrinking consistently in funding at the federal level since at least the 1990s that I'm aware of, possibly earlier.
I
Yeah,
just wanted-
our funding is going down, not up, unfortunately.
Yes.
But we find very creative ways to spend it. Okay.
Is it possible to approach? Is it too late?
The public hearing's over. 1 minute.
All right. Our new image project has been very, very successful. We're in the 3rd year. It is one of the few programs that works with youth who are marginalized youth, and we are being granted $5,000. We said the program would take about 12. And so Representative Councilmember Kavanaugh, if there would be any other funding available, I think we have proven that this is an excellent program. It makes a difference in the school-to-prison pipeline. We have a program that prevents students from being referred and suspended. And because it is one of the few, or the only program of its type that works with this group of children, I think that all monies that you can possibly give to this, I think the school system and, of course, the children would be appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you. We need a motion on the resolution if there are no changes.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the resolution. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, we have no quasi judicial public hearings, and we have 2 resolutions that do not require second readings, but we do offer public comments, citizens' comments on those items only. So that would be the adopting of the residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan and the citizen participation plan. So if you'd like to speak on those 2 specific items, now would be the time. Okay, seeing none, we will move into the resolutions.
Yes, the first item C2 is a resolution which I'll read by title only. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, adopting a residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan, authorizing the mayor to sign on behalf of the city and providing an effective date.
These 2 resolutions are annual resolutions. They're part of our requirements for federal HUD funding. We have no additional comments.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the resolution. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Next is a resolution which I'll read by title only. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, adopting a citizen participation plan.
Any other same annual
Second.
resolution? We have a motion, a second, to approve the resolution. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. We will do the consent agenda, and then we will take a break before we go into the regular agenda.
Okay.
So first, I will ask, do any council members have anything they would like to pull for discussion off the consent agenda?
I have none.
No.
None? Okay, so now, you good?
Move approval of the.
Well, we gotta have citizens
Oh,
comment.
okay. I thought you already
Citizens'
did.
comments on the consent agenda. Now would be your time to speak on the approval of the minutes, the approval of the boat club lease amendment, the monthly litigation report, the Fisherman's Village restroom addition, the MOU, 2 MOUs for the police department. Would anybody like to speak on those items? Seeing none, I will accept your
Move
motion.
approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda in its entirety. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, we are gonna take, it's 10:29. We will come back at 10:35. 6-minute break.
35 and 47.